the actual data collection sheet or methodology that the department uses? Do you go down a checklist? I mean, is the firearms owners, I mean, the dealers have a checklist? What's the actual written sheet that explains the differences? Maybe I'm not explaining it well enough.
Major, I think that the question is, when you do a background check, that's such a vague term, background check. My understanding is that you actually query databases and then information pops up. You've identified a few times that you have a more extensive capability to query. It's not that you have a different checklist as much as you have more databases that you query, and that way more items can pop up. Is that correct?
Well, there's our databases contain sometimes information which would not be accepted through the federal system. For example, temporary PFAs.
So there isn't actually a checklist that an investigator would see. What you would do is the PICS system would identify via Social Security and name an individual, and then on your computer screen, please correct me if I make a mistake, on your computer screen, a list of potential violations would show up. If that list doesn't exist, it's automatic, there's no issue. But if something does pop up, then you have someone investigate that. Is that how the system currently works?
That is correct.
And so what your strongest argument is that NICS, NCIS, they cannot query as much, so when a name is an individual is checked, that they may not have things that show up on NCIS that do show up in yours.
That's correct. Our databases will contain
Right, but what I'm asking, just to be clear, is without giving any personal information or knowing any specifics, what does that query sheet look like? Could you give us an imprint or a download of what that computer screen or database looks like? That's what I'm trying to educate myself on. I'm not interested in knowing any personal data or anything.
We'll
Is that
look into that,
secretive?
sir.
Is that a public, it should be?
No, I understand we can probably provide you a sample of that kind of...
Well, I don't know about the other colleagues, but it would help me understand the specificity of the issue and the conflict. I mean, we're being asked to support, many are considered supporting Representative Stevenson's bill, and you're saying some very important things, especially in terms of individuals who should not have concealed weapons. I want to really understand the specificity of what you're actually reviewing before I consider supporting that bill. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Senator Allaway, did you have a... Oh, Senator Fontana.
I'll yield my time to
Thank you. Just to follow up, I guess from your testimony, it seems like you have more checks than the NICS system. Is that accurate? You check other websites or whatever you do to do the background check. You check more, PICS checks more than NICS in an individual background check. Is that accurate?
It has more information available to it. The databases...
Does that take more time to do that?
It's electronics or so...
So it's not a time element?
It would be insignificant.
It would be insignificant. The 20 minutes, there was some testimony about 20-minute delay, 10-minute delay, 8-minute delay. How do you look at that? Do you look at that as a reasonable delay, or do you think that's too much, or is there something you strive for, or is there a goal there as far as the delay? We know there has to be, it says instant check, but it's not really instant. So what's acceptable?
Well, we certainly understand and appreciate the concerns of the dealers. I think that, we can see their point of view, but, there's a number of reasons which may cause delays in a response time. Well, first of all, it would only occur in 41% of the calls, since over 59% are automatically approved. So the majority of calls should be handled within less than 6 minutes. There may be some delays related to volume. We have had a significant increase in call volume recently, record-setting highs, as a matter of fact. For example, in February of this last year, we had a 27% increase in call volume over the last year, and it was the record high month of volume for the month.
So would it be months, certain days, certain times of the day with delays? I don't know, maybe is that how it usually works? So you put more people on. I mean, is there a way to try to remedy the delays, I guess is what.
Often the delays are unanticipated, and we do attempt to add additional staffing when we're notified of gun shows and raffles. However, often dealers fail to notify us. You know, many do. But sometimes they don't notify us enough in advance that we can staff accordingly.
Communication issue, maybe?
Pardon me?
Communication issue?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that requires them to tell us, so we appreciate it if they give us advance notice of when, you know, they anticipate a large gun show or a raffle or a sale. And again, you know, the natural increase in volume, you know, may be unanticipated by the dealer, and of course is unanticipated by us. And of course, the volume causes backlogs.
Let me ask you one more. Just, you said $5.9 million cost. Is that just a cost and there's nothing else brought in? There's no balance off? There's no money made from this by the state police?
Well, the total cost of fees, you know, the $3 transfer fee and the $2 PICS fee result in approximately a $2 million annual revenue stream.
So that's a difference of almost $4 million.
$3.9 million shortfall. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Alloway, and I would note that we had the 10-minute call 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, great. I can't imagine why gun sales have gone through the roof in the last 2 years. Sorry, I had to say that. My apologies. Yeah. I actually, there's something I want cleared up because Mr. Stolfer testified that these background checks and these prohibited persons have not resulted in any arrest. Do you want to correct me on that, Mr. Stolfer? Didn't you say that in your testimony?
I put the numbers down there that the state police supplied as to how they've handled those situations, and many of them are not arrested or prosecuted. Not all of them. Many of them are not arrested or prosecuted.
I thought you stated that there have been none.
No, there have been some. I used the state police figures.
Okay, good.
There are a couple final comments and questions. We do have statistics as far as downtime. Would it be possible to provide the committee a statistic as to your average calls? I just did some quick math during some of the comments. 600,000 calls a year. Divide that by 365 days you're open. Roughly 1,800 calls a day. Is that in the frame that you believe? On average, I know that it will peak and drop. Is that about right? Or I'm not going to hold you to that number,
right, but you know, they're busy times.
I know
of
they're
the
busy
year,
times. But here's my issue:
where the call volume's increasing.
When you said 59% of the time it's instant, the heads are still shaking when I say that. Even assuming that is correct, at 1,800 a day, 60% of 1,800 or 50 is roughly 1,000. So that means another 800. So we should rename it the Pennsylvania Almost Instant Check System. But I think it's a legitimate question as to if you have an 1,800, 1,000 are quick, but you still have over 800 a day where you're having some type of delay or potentially the 15-day issue. So that is of great concern to a committee. What I'd like to do is ask, is it possible to have the committee members come out and visit the site? I think there are enough questions about the actual operational technical that there is some interest in visiting the site. Is that something that is doable?
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
And is that co-located in our vicinity or in our area, or will we go to Chambersburg or something?
It's at our departmental headquarters on Elmerton Avenue.
Excellent.
So it's
And
very
can we just
convenient.
also clarify best practices from other states? Can we presume, or do we know that other states that are in the 35 numbered states that only utilize the federal system, what is the experience or reference to downtime in those states relative to the federal system? I don't know that. I'd like to know that as we review the legislation.
I don't have any information on the other states. I can cite Colorado as kind of a glaring example. once when the Brady Act was passed, they had established a statewide instant check system, and their General Assembly subsequently chose to repeal that and rely just on NICS. Well, a short time later, a father killed his 3 children after purchasing a firearm. The FBI approved the father's request to purchase a firearm because NICS did not contain some key information that was maintained only in the state database.
Okay.
Colorado remains today as a
I
point
guess
of
my main
contact
point is
state.
for the committee to understand what other states are experiencing relative to delays in the federal system.
Two other statements, Major. One, the Legislative Budget Finance Committee, which I chair, was tasked with doing an audit, and we will be releasing a report on May 24th dealing with the PICS system and the fee issue. We won't get into that today, but I think there is some debate as to having to pay for a constitutional right, that there was also expense associated with this. Second, there's these Wednesday morning hearings, which we're slotted for, are traditionally the beginning of the process, to put the testimony of all different parties on, available out to the public, and then we'll have some follow-up. So I appreciate you taking the time, and the troop also taking the time to be here with us today. We look forward to working with you as we try to address what I think all parties agree is some issues that need to be worked on, and we'll go from there. This hearing is adjourned to the call of the chair.
Thank you, sir.